let's hear that song, Seminole fans. The best song in the country. You're listening to it right now. There's none better than that. Or when Chief Osceola rides out, it doesn't get any better than that, fans. It doesn't get any better than that. Hey, welcome back to Seminole Sidelines 365 here on a Wednesday evening. Thank you for joining me. This is Bruce. Where the hell's KB? Where is KB? KB is absent. He's actually out doing real business. You know, we say the Seminoles go on business trips. Well, KB's actually on a business trip too. So he's out in the west coast of the country doing some business this week. So unfortunately, he's not going to be able to join us tonight. So you're stuck with me, Bruce, and I'm going to lead you through this. I've got the insider there said you can hear me well. Okay, that's always good because usually KB and I do a little bit of a soundtrack check, but that's a good thing. I got to hold up my sign so everybody can see it. 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0. The climb is real. The climb is real. You know, I mean, the climb is real at this point at 3-0. And after this weekend on Saturday's game against BC, we're going to be 4-0. We're going to be 4-0. But again, shout out to all our viewers, our subscribers, both here on YouTube and as well as on Twitter. You know, we're really enjoying our interaction with our fans, our followers, our viewers. And if you haven't already, it really helps motivate us in terms of doing our programming by hitting that thumbs up, by subscribing, by becoming a follower, leaving us a comment now and then, and hitting that like button. That helps us share the message. That helps us share the message through their algorithms on these different social platforms. We are the other guys. You know, we got to work a little bit harder. So we appreciate that from all you fans out there. So we got a lot to cover here tonight. So I'm gonna jump right into this. We're going to kind of start off with the wrap up from the Louisville game. We had a great post. Here's a question. The insider, how much does a subscription cost, Bruce? A subscription here for a limited period of time is zero. It's zero. That's what the subscription cost is. And there's never any fees. There's no add-ons. It's just all fun. So we want you to jump in here. A lot of other programs are constantly, you know, begging for subscribers. Maybe we should do that. I don't know, Mr. Insider. Maybe we should do that. Or premium charges to get to this bulletin board. I mean, after a while, all these fees start to add up. And I don't know what happens after the dollars for the first year. What happens after that if you don't cut off the subscription? Does it go higher? Maybe it does. You better check that out. Okay. Back to the show here. Now, here we are for the season. I'm 2-1 at this point in the season. I picked the game at Duquesne that we beat Duquesne. I picked the game at Louisville. We beat Louisville. So I'm 2-1. I lost the LSU game because I picked LSU to win that game. You know, if I make an error, if my analysis is bad, I'm going to own up to it. That's what I do. But that's accountability. That's what Coach Norvell wants. He wants accountability of everybody on his team. So also a shout out. We hired a new intern this past week, but she's also out tonight too. That's a little disturbing, but she's out too. I think she's out there maybe monitoring a little bit. But Wendy is our new intern. She's handling our Instagram. She's handling all of our stuff on Instagram now, all our postings on their Instagram. So Wendy, we're glad you're on board with our program. Just don't get in KB's way. That guy's a little bit high energy. So stay out of his way. Okay. Let's talk about what happened last Saturday night. Was that Saturday night or was it Friday night? I don't even remember anymore. It's a long week. That was a Friday night game. Let's talk about what really happened in that game. And I took some notes. I got my notes here. I don't just make this up. So let me go over a few things that I saw, and I want to take it by half. We're going to start by half, and then also later in the show, we're going to adjust and we're going to go into the BC game, and I'm going to tell you about Mike Norvell's super secret operation of deception that's going on, and we'll talk about that. But Louisville, great victory. Seminoles moved to 3-0 on the season, and that was a game they had to have. Okay, and you may hear us say that a lot. There's going to be a lot of games that seem like we need these games, but that was a game that we had to win because there's some games that are going to be a complete toss-up. It was a tough game, a very physical game. We'll talk about injury reports later, but let's talk about the game itself and how it started off. Now, I'm going to talk about FSU possessions. I want to talk about their offense a little bit. In the first half, we had the ball 8 times in the first half. Now, that's phenomenal. That's a lot of time of possession. We had the ball 8 times. The very first drive, we go from our own 39-yard line down and score a touchdown. Jordan Travis takes the team down, moves right down the field. The offense is clicking. You couldn't ask for a better offensive series than that. Okay, second series, we start at our own 20, get a few first downs. Field goal time. Ryan Fitzgerald comes onto the field, wide right. 37-yard missed, wide right. Third possession of the first half, we get another touchdown. It's a big run. We started our own 25-yard line, took the ball down the field, scored another touchdown. We're looking good. We're looking good on offense. You can't get any better than that. 2 out of 3 drives, you get 2 touchdowns, and you had a chance for a field goal. So at that point, we should have been up 17. The fourth possession of that half, interception. Not really Jordan Travis's fault. The ball hits off Cam McDonald. I don't know if Cam didn't see the ball coming, didn't expect the ball coming. The ball ricochets off him, off his chest, off his pads, and the ball's picked off at that point. The ball is picked off. The fifth possession, it's a punt. We don't really get it's 3 and out. The sixth possession, it's 25 yards, and bam. And there's our worst nightmare. This is the 6th possession late into the first half, and down goes Jordan Travis. This is the worst nightmare that I'm sure Coach Novell has been sleeping with since the fall camp started. And it's the same thing that I've been talking about endlessly on this channel, is what do you do now? And all the questions about your backup quarterback situation. Tate Rodemaker comes in under center, and then we have to punt the ball away. So nothing in that 6th possession in that first half. But now Tate Rodemaker is your quarterback. This is not a one play and out for Travis. This is a lower leg injury, and it looks fairly serious to keep him out, at least for this game. He's under evaluation. On the 7th possession of this half, of the first half, we start out of our 40 at the Louisville 49-yard line. We get a big run by Ward, and then we get a penalty, an intentional grounding, and then an interception. Now, I don't know if the receiver ran the wrong route, whatever. I think a DB jumped the route, watched Tate's eyes, and Tate Rodemaker throws an interception. And all the air went out of the Seminole fans because they said, same old Tate, same old guy, why is he in there? So Tate's stock plunged just like our stock market these days. Don't look at your stock portfolio. Warning. His stock dropped like the stock market, and down it went. We get the ball back one more time for the 8th possession in the half. And it's basically a kneel down. We had 5 seconds when we got the 8th possession. So it was really a no-go on that. Tate kneels down. Half is over. We're down 21-14. 21-14 at that point. So we had what we started out, which we thought was a great half of football, and it didn't end as a good half of football. At this point, all the fans, like myself, I know KB, I talked to KB, he had to take a walk, at that point, he's breaking out the alcohol. He probably already had it broken out, but it's disturbing because we knew this scenario would come. We had predicted this would come. And most of the media had been talking about this as well. Coach Norvell has to face what is he going to do now, because Tate didn't have a great start there in his action in the first half. But in that first half of play, I thought that we had some other issues as well. Bethune, our linebacker, he gets injured. He was in and out, but he did come back into the game. Lovett didn't even play the game. Fabian Lovett didn't even start the game. I thought our defensive pass rush was not good. Jared Verse got injured in the game. He wasn't available, for much of that game. He was out. So we had very little defensive pass rush at all in that regard. I'm flipping between a couple of screens here and some notes. We had a big face mask penalty, cost us 15 yards. Deloach did a great job as spying. I never seen one of our linebackers fly around as much as I saw Mr. Deloach flying around spying on Malik Cunningham. He did a fantastic job. And though Malik Cunningham got over 100 yards rushing in the game, I thought Deloach did a great defensive play in his game. I thought it was great. I think he made a lot of money on that tape last Friday night. The DN McClendon, he was the strongest DN we had on the field the whole night. He had a good fumble recovery. He was putting good pressure on the quarterback when we did collapse that pocket. Besides that, nothing too big on that half stood out for me. The Louisville Cardinals seem to be ripping the middle of our defense with their rush game. They seem to be attacking the middle of the rush game. Maybe that's because Lovett was out and Robert Cooper had to handle the big burden in there with some young guys playing next to him. That's kind of what I saw in the first half. If anybody out there had any additional comments you want to add, just send me a comment on here tonight, and I'll be glad to air it out for you. Okay, let's get into the second half. Tate comes out. We have actually in the second half we have 6 possessions, which isn't bad for a possession of football. So totally in the game we had 14 possessions of the ball. That's pretty good. When you have 14 possessions, you should win the football game. You should win the football game. Jarrett Jackson, insider Jarrett Jackson says, Jarrett Jackson did a great job. Jarrett Jackson, some of these younger guys came in there and did a great job, and they got a lot of reps, and I expect they're going to get a lot of reps in the future. So in the second half here, we get the ball on our 25-yard line. We get several first downs. It's a great drive, and Tate Rodemaker has a perfect drive, takes us all the way down, and we get a score. Tiafola runs the ball in, and we get a touchdown. So right away, all of a sudden, the fans that were down in the deeps of sorrow about Tate Rodemaker being in the game in the first half, all of a sudden their spirits are lifted up, or spirits are lifted high. Tate is now, holy mackerel, what's going on with Tate Rodemaker? Was that a fluke? Could that just have just been, something that didn't happen? No, he threw a couple of good passes in that drive, and so we get our touchdown. The second possession, we start our 20-yard line, and there's a sack fumble. We do get the ball back, but we have to punt it away. The third possession, we start at our 10-yard line. We have to punt it away. We start to wonder if the first touchdown was a fluke. The fourth possession, another perfect drive. We start at our 25-yard line. We get a big throw to Johnny Wilson. We get another first down, and then eventually we get down and boom, touchdown, Johnny Wilson. It's a great pass, and Tate Rodemaker puts it right on the money. Tate's got 2 touchdowns in the game at this point, 2 touchdowns and an interception. He's playing as well or better than we thought he could play at this point. Some of us are starting to gain confidence, and I think Tate Rodemaker started to gain his confidence that he can play this game at this level. He can play this game at this level, and he needed this. He absolutely needed this. We get the 5th possession in the ball game. 5th possession of the game, we start at our 25-yard line. We get some big runs. We take it all the way down to the 2 or 3 yard line of Louisville, and then we get a little cute again. It's not the quick pitch where we fumbled the ball against LSU, but we get a little cute. We bring in Wyatt Rector. He gets up under center, and it's a Wyatt Rector quarterback sneak. Wyatt Rector used to be quarterback, but he doesn't take that many snaps in practice. This is a very dangerous call by Coach Norvell. And he would have been deeply criticized if something would have gone wrong here. Rector does not get into the end zone. And I'm sure a lot of people threw up their hands and said, what the hell is going on here? But Tate Rodemaker bailed out his coach. He bailed out Coach Norvell. Throws back in the corner of the end zone. Johnny Wilson comes down with the ball. A great leaping catch. Ball was put right on the money. Perfect pass, perfect catch. Johnny Wilson, another touchdown. We get another possession of the game, our last possession of the game. We start our own 45-yard line. There's 4 minutes left in the game. We get two big penalties. Then we get a first down on a penalty. And then there's a key play where it's 3rd and 8. We convert on that play. We come in to nail down the game. But there's some questionable calls here. Are we trying to win the game with a touchdown? But Coach Norvell gets really conservative on this 6th possession of the second half. We're up 35-31. There's 4 minutes left in the game. We have the ball, and he goes real conservative. First down, run. Second down, run. Third down, run right into where you want to kick the field goal attempt. And that's what he did. This whole series, he tried to kick the field goal when we get down there in the scoring area. That's concerning. He could have, I believe he could have scored a touchdown. He's got Johnny Wilson. He's got a Pokey Wilson out there. He's got some great receivers out there that have been giving Louisville trouble all night. And what does he do? He runs it 3 times, sets up the field goal. Ryan Fitzgerald comes into the game. It's going to be a 37, 38-yard field goal. Misses the field goal. Misses again. He had 2 misses on the night, both between the 35 and the 40. So Louisville gets the ball back, and lucky enough, they're driving. Lucky enough, we pick it off. Interception. Kevin Knowles, great interception. Barely got his 2 feet in, and we win the game 35-31. Incredible game. Again, one of these games that we said is always going to be on the edge. Insider says the 55-yard ball he connected with Johnny Wilson gave him the confidence to win that game. I agree with that. The big winner here, let's see. Oh, Wendy, our intern's out there. Wendy says Wilson is the real deal. Johnny Wilson is the real deal. That's very, very true. So a couple of things here is some questionable play calling again, down in the red zone. The sequence at the end when he kind of did it, he used the 3 downs to set up a 4th down field goal, kind of questionable. And I think Coach Novell will learn from that now, especially he's got his kicker who's got a little bit of an issue going on here. Now, Ryan Fitzgerald is the kicker. Coach Norvell made that very clear. He's the only scholarship kicker that I'm aware of. It's on scholarship at this point. And so far, he is 3 of 6 on the season. So he's at 50%. That's not where we need Ryan. That's not where we need you. Now, most of these kickers have their own personal coaches not on staff. They have their own kicking coaches and gurus and consultants. Perhaps the Noles need to lay out a little side contract, if that's possible. I don't even know if that's possible under the NCAA rules, to get him some consultations and fix what's wrong. Because it's really going to be hard to lose a game inside the 40-yard line on a field goal. And I don't even know if at this point that we'd have to bring Ryan inside the 30-yard line to make sure he has a good opportunity. Now, from what we hear in practices this week, he was banging them through pretty good. But just like Tate was very good in practice. Now, Tate showed up on this game and actually carried us to victory. He should get a game ball. I thought he might be breaking the slab. He should get a piece of the slab, if nothing else. He did a fantastic job. Ryan needs to kick cleaner. He needs to be able to make stuff inside that 45-yard line. And certainly inside the 40. He cleaned up his kickoffs, though. His kickoffs went into the end zone, weren't returnable that I remember, and did a great job there. He cleaned that up from the LSU game. So these are some of the things certainly in this game that stood out for me, and I'm sure it stood out for everybody else. Fan writes in, how do you cure the yips? It gets to be psychological. I think kicking is much like golf. If you miss enough putts, you don't even want to pull your putter back. I'm one of those guys at times. My putting game gets so bad at times that I don't even want to pull the putter back. So if you're a field goal kicker, you probably don't even want to pull back your leg. I mean, it's got to be concerning. Can you imagine, much less when the game's on the line? I mean, it gets psychologically in your head. Ask Roberto Aguayo, a number 1 first round draft choice by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This guy had a stellar career. Look at his numbers. Blows things off the charts. He can't last in the league 2 years. He could not kick it through the same field goal posts he's been kicking it through in high school and college. It gets to be a psychological barrier. It'd be great to have him come on this show and talk about how kickers and what they go through mentally. I think it'd be fascinating. These guys weigh in a lot on games, extra points and field goals. It's amazing. So Florida State had the ball. I think it was 14 possessions in the game. You should win the game with that. You should win the game with that. And we did win the game. And that's the bottom line. We're 3-0, and we won the game we should have won. So hats off to the Noles, and that sets us up for next week. That's a Saturday night game in Tallahassee. If you've been watching my tweets, I showed you where you can stay. Some of the hotels, I tweeted them out. My God. Oh, Lord. Did you see the prices on some of those places? Motel 6 and other places? Boy, you better bring a suitcase of money. Yeah, they're high, fans. They're really high, and I'm sure Airbnbs are sold out by this point. If you got an SUV, get a blow-up mattress, throw it in the back after the game, sleep a few hours, and then head home. Get something to eat. You'll be asleep 4 or 5 hours, and head home someplace. Why not? Have a good time. But try to get to the game. The student section is sold out for this game. Is sold out. And I think we're going to have a big crowd there. The Noles should have a very big crowd there. And I think it could be a really, really, really good game for the Noles. And I think they're playing a team that's hurting right now, and that's the Boston College Eagles. So let's talk a little bit about the Boston College Eagles and this game coming up. But first, we need to talk about the practice, what's going on this week, and talk about some injuries, because that's going to affect what's going to go on in this game. Wendy, our intern, maybe we should go to the portal for a kicker. She puts laugh out loud on that. Well, I think you got to go anywhere you can find a kicker. And FSU has been known to have some very good kickers. And a lot of them have had successful careers in the NFL. I don't have to go through all the names. Janikowski comes to mind as one of those guys. Hopkins comes to mind as one of those guys. We've had some decent college kickers, but of course, we're also known for the wide right, the wide left. That can happen to anybody, and it happened to some kickers that were decent kickers. But when the game's on the line, we've got to have somebody that has some reliability, and we're still searching for that person. We hope it's Ryan. We hope, Ryan, it is you, okay? But we need to maybe generate some competition there. Coach Norvell could have a kicking tryout. He could have a tryout for people to come in that are on campus, that have college eligibility. As far as I know, Penn State does that. Each year they have two periods of tryouts of student athletes. So if you're a student athlete, if you think you can kick the ball from 40 yards in and be consistent, then give Coach Norvell a call. Or if somebody's out there across the country, give him a call, see what happens, see what works out. The most he can say is no thanks. I thought offensively in the Louisville game, we did really well, and we did really well with our backup quarterback. Tate has now cemented himself as the backup quarterback going forward, and that leads us to a discussion going into the Boston College Eagles game. Defensively in the Louisville game, I'm still uncertain where we are defensively. I've seen some really good things, and then I've seen some bad things. I'm a little concerned with the defensive front, especially with Fabian Lovett out of there. I'm now even more concerned with Jared Verse out of there. If we can't generate a decent pass rush in some of the teams coming up after Boston College, or even with Boston College, it's going to create some real pressures on our secondary. It's going to create some pressure. I'm also concerned about the rush yards that I saw in the middle of our defense. That was concerning in terms of moving forward as well. So that's something we're going to have to keep an eye on in that regard. Our punting game was acceptable. Mastromano, he was acceptable, and that's good. That's good. I thought the kick coverage was pretty good. I have no problems with that. All right, let's talk about Wednesday's practice. That was today, this morning. After that, Coach Norvell met the media. The whole thing lasted about 5 minutes. I'm just going to tell you, there was nothing too exciting or significant that came out of that. He said it was a good day of practice. There was good spirit, good competition in practice. He said in his opening remarks, we were able to get Travis Jordan out running around a little bit, throwing some balls, throwing balls, and he had good enthusiasm and was out there running with everybody else. The first follow-up question, I would have thought, and if I would have been there, I would have asked a follow-up question about Jordan Travis. Now, let me make sure so we don't get ridiculed here. The FSU and Coach Norvell's policy is not to comment on injured players, not to give any details about injuries. Not now, not during the season, not ever about an injured player. This is the FSU policy that also there's no media coverage of who participates and who doesn't in practices, whether they're out on a personal issue or whether it's an injury. Those are two prohibitions against the media who have credentialed media to come into practices or to see what's going on. If they violate that, I guess they pull their credentials, which they can do, and they don't get to come in. And obviously these guys are very concerned about losing that if they're in the media jobs here that they're trying to make a living and pay their debts on. So I get that. However, that doesn't mean you have to shy away from additional questions about Jordan Travis. You just don't have to talk about injuries. But you could talk about the backup quarterbacks. I think our media has gotten so shy about this policy that they're afraid to ask anything. Because right after Coach Norvell said Jordan's been out running around, moving around, the first follow-up question was not about Jordan Travis at all. It was about and it was from one of the major FSU media coverage groups, major group. How does success fuel practice? Nothing about Jordan Travis. Weak question, softball question doesn't surprise me. Next question came up, eventually a question about Jordan Travis, and that was about his leadership. Nothing about anything else about Jordan Travis. So I guess when a guy like Jordan Travis has any type of injury, you can't even ask any questions about him, except these philosophical questions and leadership and so on. Well, then ask questions about the backup. There was not one question about Tate Rodemaker that I heard in the 5 minutes. Nothing. Okay, fan writes in, one of our followers. So why don't we know how serious Jordan Travis' injury is? Because there is a policy, as I've said, Jody, that you can't give out any information. That's the policy of FSU and the coaching staff. None of the coaches can talk about any injuries. Okay? Oh, you see what you do on the practice film. There was film on Jordan Travis today, throwing some balls, moving around. He was moving pretty slowly. Let's just say he wasn't sprinting around, okay, making deep cuts. All right? Coach commented about Fabian Lovett, even though he's not playing, even though he can't do a lot of practice. He's out there, helping the young guys in a good leadership role. And then there was another question about Jordan Travis. Is Jordan Travis, is he an accurate quarterback? No, are accurate quarterbacks born or made? And coach said it's kind of a special talent. So there's no relevant question about whether Jordan Travis is going to play tomorrow or play on Saturday. So let's get that clear. There were no questions asked about that. Okay. I guess you can't ask them. Okay. I talked about Micah Pittman doing a great job. And then at the end, he kind of stands there looking for another question. There are no other questions asked, which I found very interesting. It's almost like the media is gun shy, to ask the questions they really want to ask, or they can't find a way to phrase the questions they really want to ask. And then Norvell laughs as he's leaving. He goes, "No questions. Wow." And he walks off. Very interesting sequence. Very interesting sequence. You make out of it what you want to make out of it, in that regard. I'll move on from there. All right, let me give you a little injury report of what we do know. First of all, we do know for sure, out for the season is Bliss Harris, offensive lineman, undisclosed reasons. Caden Lyles was transferred from Wisconsin, offensive lineman, and linebacker Steven Dix Jr. The full extent of their injuries has not been revealed due to policy. And then Jordan Travis, game time decision by the coach and the medical staff. Okay, so let's talk about that for a minute, how it affects the BC game. First of all, I don't think Jordan Travis is going to start this game. I've been saying that all week, and if I'm wrong, I'll eat it. All right, I'll eat it. Jordan Travis is not going to start this game. Tate Rodemaker is going to start this game. Tate Rodemaker, this is an opportunity for Coach Norvell to really build confidence in his backup quarterback. If you want a true backup quarterback that you can trust, then this is the game. This situation was almost set up for this. You have said since fall camp, from spring and fall camp all summer, and right up through the game, the Louisville game, you have all 100% confidence in Tate Rodemaker. Well, then with your number one quarterback who has some sort of injury, and with the big game coming up against Wake Forest, you should have enough confidence to start Tate Rodemaker and evaluate his first half of play. And if he's not getting the job done, then you can go to Jordan Travis. That's what you need to do. Now, if you're saying, and the medical staff is saying Jordan Travis is 100% ready to play and been medically cleared, then play him. I'm not against that. Of course you do. But to put out somebody that could risk further injury when you have some big games coming up is probably not the best decision in my eyes. So we'll see. We'll know probably, I would say, Friday when BC flies down here. They'll fly down here Friday. At that point, most of their preparation is done. They've been preparing both for Tate and for Jordan Travis, So they're two different styles, but they're preparing for both, of course. This is what I mean by what I call, and I have said in Twitter, Operation Hammer BC. Could this be Coach Norvell's greatest deception show for the BC Eagles? This could be the greatest deception since the Normandy landings in World War II, okay, where we deceived the Germans. And I know you history people are probably turning off, but that's okay. The Germans thought we were landing somewhere else other than Normandy. It was a great deception operation that made it successful. Well, Coach Norvell, this may be your time. This may be your time that you're deceiving the BC Eagles in terms of what you're really going to do, which is to start Tate Rodemaker. Okay? And I think that's what's going to happen, to be honest with you. Jared Verse, unknown. Don't know if he's going to play or I don't know if he's going to play or he's not going to play. Robert Scott, same thing. Offensive lineman. Defensive end, Malcolm Ray, same thing. Defensive tackle, Fabian Lovett, no known status. Amari Gaynor, also out with a foot. And then we got Winston Wright, who's being back into play, but I don't think he's ready yet. So I don't think you're going to see him. And Ja'Kai Douglas, I have no clue what's going on with him, but he's injured in some way. So again, it's frustrating for the fans to kind of know, but you're not going to get any details out of this staff. Okay. And that's for game plans. And that's also to protect the kids as well, the players. And so I get it. But maybe there's other ways we can ask some of these questions. All right. Okay, let's look at the Eagles. Eagles, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them. They're really beat up. They've got a huge bunch of injuries on their offensive line. They've got injuries all over this team. Now, they do have a veteran quarterback. I kind of like their quarterback, Djokovic. He's pretty good baller. This guy's pretty good at throwing the ball if he gets some time. Now, with our defensive line injuries, he could get some time. And most of these quarterbacks, this guy's been around. He's had a lot of starts. I'm not going to bore you with a bunch of statistics, but he could possibly, move the football on our defense. We're going to have some young guys step up on that defensive line and defensive ends, and we may have to blitz a little bit more to put some pressure on this guy. I think we'll be able to stop their running game. I don't think that's very powerful. And I think we're going to score on their defense. Their defense is weak in most areas. And that's why I say this is a great game for Tate to take the helm, to prove himself to be the backup quarterback. This isn't a competition to see who's number one between him and Travis. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about when Travis is out of games, can he come in and have the confidence? This is a perfect game to build that confidence. But there's some glaring weaknesses on this BC team. There's no bones about it. But we can't overlook them. I don't think we can overlook anybody. But this is going to go down as a win. The question is by how many points? I've got this game picked. I'll give you my pick right now. I've got Florida State winning this game by 12. By 12 points. I think the spread is like 15 now, maybe 15 and a half. I haven't looked at it today. But we're going to win this game. And we're going to find out more about our football team. We're going to find out if we have a kicker or we got to go have a tryout and find a kicker. And we're going to find out if we got a backup quarterback. We're going to find that out because I think that's what you're going to see. They have a quality coach there. I think they're going to be prepared. I think they're going to play loose. They're supposed to lose the game. I think they could play a pretty good first half. I think the heat, the humidity is going to wear them down. I think that could wear them down some, and they don't have a lot of depth. So I think we're going to run a lot of guys in. A lot of young guys are going to get to play. Some guys maybe that haven't started. The depth chart came out for the Noles. Jordan Travis is listed as the number one quarterback. You can list anybody you want there. That's not cemented in stone. That's part of the grand operation of Operation Hammer BC. That's part of the deception. That's what goes on. Some coaches want to play that more than others. But we may not hear Coach Norvell till he actually takes the field and the sideline reporter says, "Is Jordan Travis your starting quarterback tonight?" And he'll make his announcement then. We'll find out. Stay tuned. Okay, I'm going to wrap up with the last thing I got tonight, and that is there's some head coaching jobs available, some head coaching jobs out there. We've got, let me see here. We've got Arizona State, and we've got Nebraska. Those are two pretty good high-profile jobs. Those are two pretty good jobs. I mean, these teams have some successful history. Nebraska more than Arizona State. But I can remember back years ago when Arizona State had a really, really good football team. And I know Nebraska has. We won a national championship against Nebraska. We won a national championship against Nebraska with a field goal kicker, with a field goal to win the game. So those two jobs are wide open. The question is, does Deion Sanders interview for those jobs? I have not heard his name in any of those jobs, or that he has shown interest in any of those jobs or revealed that interest. I don't think Deion would publicly reveal that he's contacted either school to ask to be interviewed. I don't think we're going to see that unless the other school leaks it out. I think Deion's pretty locked down on those type of personal situations. Usually his agent would make a confidential call to see if he would even be considered in the running to go out there and do an interview. But Deion Sanders is not going to stay at Jackson State much longer. There's going to be obviously more openings at the end of the year or further as we get into the season, but he is not going to stay there much longer. And when he goes, he's going to take some players with him. That's how that's going to roll out. And you can write that down, that that's going to happen. That's what I got. That's what I got. Now, some of you may be out to be watching Aaron Judge, who's trying to get his 61st home run, start setting some records. Let me just say this, because I don't want to dwell on Aaron Judge of the New York Yankees. Aaron Judge is a huge guy, big guy, and he cracks the bat, and he's a great ball player, no doubt about it. But let's not compare Aaron Judge to the biggest home run hitters and record setters of the past. Let's not compare him to Babe Ruth. Let's not compare him to Mickey Mantle. Let's not compare him to Roger Maris. Let's not compare him to Hank Aaron. Let's not compare him to those people. You can't do that. It's not fair to Judge. It's not fair to those players. Those players come from a different style of baseball. They did not have the advantages that an Aaron Judge has today. And I don't need to go into all that detail because this is about FSU football. But let's not get in a comparison and a media hype on this thing. And the very last thing I want to say is I do hope that this Florida State football team, who has a great opportunity in front of them to go 4-0, after this weekend, and to go further than that in the future, they don't get caught up in the media hype of these polls and rankings and whether we should be higher or lower or where should we be. That's all BS. It's all BS. It's not about respect, or we're not getting respect. If you keep winning, you will get the respect that you deserve and that you've earned. Each week you've conducted so far as a business trip. Just like KB is on a business trip now, you be on a business trip each and every week, no matter what city you're playing in. Hope everybody out there goes to the game, gets to the game, and if you can't, you're sitting in the best seat of the house, and that's your house, at the 50-yard line in front of that 70-inch TV, 4D, or whatever you may have, with your own snack bar, private bathroom. So if you can't get to the game, have a great time watching it on the best seat of the house on your TV, and join KB and I in the post-game reaction show, 11:15-ish, something like that, on Saturday night after this game. Go Noles, beat the Eagles, and we'll see you next time here on Seminoles Sideline 365. Please hit that subscribe. Please follow us on Twitter. Give us a thumbs up. Hit the like button. And we appreciate all you guys being in our family here at Seminoles Sideline 365. This is Bruce. I'm out. You all have a great, great evening, and be safe out there. Bye-bye.